Hello everyone, welcome to Devs Play Splinter Zone. I'm currently also with Baron. I'm joined here by the developer of Splinter Zone, Eric. Hello.
Hi everyone.
So it does say Powertron at the start. So this is actually how the game starts up, and it's a Amiga-style homebrew cheat menu. I before we go from here, I actually want to hear the story about it, because I've never seen this in like an indie game in the past, I don't know how many years.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a weird jumble of different ideas that I had. The game is actually quite difficult to play because, oh my god, it's sort of inspired by Mega Man, and of course you have to die a lot in Mega Man style games, and you die a lot in this game. But I'm also not that big of a fan of games that are difficult for the sake of being difficult. And I was thinking about the game difficulty also in terms of accessibility for people who just want to play the game in their own way, basically. And it's something I grew up with. I grew up with Amiga games, and most of those games were pirated copies, and most of the pirated copies we had some kind of trainer menu like this one. And those trainers actually made the games playable, because I'm pretty sure that most Amiga games, when played legitimately, especially the platformers, were pretty difficult and nearly unplayable because of its difficulty. And I was thinking about doing something similar, like giving people the way to adjust the difficulty in some way to their own liking, without actually me doing the actual adjusting, and just giving people options on their own. This was the first idea, and then aesthetically it was just because my composer Svetlana made the music in Pro Tracker or in Tracker format, which was used in Amiga. And aside from one track, you can actually replay the whole soundtrack on an Amiga without any huge problems, because it's just it's made in Tracker format. And I was thinking about, well, if I'm already doing like an early 90s style platformer stuff with Amiga like music and everything else, I might as well do the cheat menu not like as a normal options menu or anything like that, and just go all the way and pretend that the game got cracked by a fake cracker group, and do it this way, and put some funny stuff in the scrolling text below. It actually teaches you how to make bread, like a very easy recipe to make bread. So if you wait long enough and pay attention, you may actually learn something.
Yeah, I remember these things. I don't start the game without making cheats and anything yet, but I remember when I played either old Amiga games or just pirated games. The idea of these little demos at the start was that they were super small, so you could actually fit them on whatever disc the game came with as well. So I saw a manual. It seems fairly simple. Run, jump, hyper mode. So I didn't see there was a slide. But yeah, we'll just start with this.
Yeah. So the basic idea of the game was. Sorry, I'm at the end of a cold.
Oh, it's fine.
So actually, to preface everything, this is sort of my real first attempt at a bigger game. I made let's say 2.5 smaller projects before that. And I pretty much, when I started out, I had no idea how to do anything. I didn't like scripting, was very hard to me. Doing graphics was very hard to me. Sound is still a huge problem, like the sound. Pretty much what I like, where I'm the least satisfied with, the whole sound and everything is completely off. But, oh yeah, well, what can you do? And when I'm sort of unemployed, this is my official status, that I don't have a full job. I'm still getting welfare benefits this year. And that was back in 2015 when I started making this game. I was in a situation where I was applying for a lot of jobs and didn't get any. And it was all very depressing. yeah, I think to cope with the stress, and I just realized that I really like the type of that I had while making a game. Like work for 10 hours straight isn't very healthy, but I can do it without hating myself. I really like the process. I thought about myself, well, if everything is like hard and difficult for me to find an occupation, I might as well try and make a commercial video game. Oh, you're doing something very smart here. Like there's actually something up there. There are two ways how you can get to this space. There's a hidden double jump upgrade in the game, or you exploit a bug. So depending on what you want to do, like the level will come again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I figured it was one of those hidden things with the face here.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually the one. This is the one that most people have missed because up until very recently, the only way to get up there was to exploit the bug. This is why there's no double jump. I want to be able to find this. Anyway, and well, I thought about to myself, okay, if I want to make a video game, it should be a small thing, like, so that I don't spend like several days making it and everything. Something that I can make fairly learn something and then move on to the next thing. And this is more or less the reason why this game is more or less an extension on the endless attack mode from Mega Man 9. Mega Man 9 has this thing, which was a DLC back then, where you can run through an infinite series of levels that are all sorted in random order, and they obviously repeat after a while, and the goal was to get as far as you can. And this was more or less my starting out point, but I also said to myself, well, I can't just make this. This whole thing has to have some kind of purpose. Like there has to be a reason why you're doing this, why there is no end to this and everything else. Because I kind of like having an explanation for stuff in my games in some ways that somehow is like internally consistent, even though there's no like it's not very realistic in shape or form. And so the idea behind this game is that you're playing someone who is trapped, like facing eternal punishment, like something they did or didn't do, and their punishment is now to like run through these challenges over and over and over again until they die, and only to start all over again. And the only weird thing that really changes is how much you know about the world about the levels reversing the challenges and facing everything else. And the rest of the game grows out of those two things, like having pre-built levels that repeat without end, and having you being trapped in there, and then everything goes like some way.
Oops. That's me then.
Yeah. Honestly, for a first attempt or second attempt, this was actually pretty good. I saw people way worse.
Oh man. Yeah, it's...
Here's something.
Thank you. No, I did notice that like it has a lot of similarities with Mega Man, like also Mega Man inspired, but it has a lot of these side mechanics, like the shot counter, like how you can shoot a certain amount of time and then you're out of bullets until they refresh. And as well as the leveling system, which I'm guessing is one of those, if you get damage you lose XP, but when you gain enough XP you get stuff like little options that you have.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, this, like the upgrade system is actually tied into the whole scoring system. By the way, no.
Oh, delayed.
Okay, next time you're there, you can jump down.
Okay.
Like, there's this anyway, the whole upgrade system is built around the scoring system. So as long as you don't get hit and keep destroying enemies, you're accumulating points.
That was too slow for me.
You're accumulating points and you're accumulating levels. And as long as you're not getting hit, those points go into like a combo pool, let's say. And this combo, as you can see in the upper right corner, is like the multiplicator depends on your level. So the higher your level is, the more theoretically those points are worth. The way you're cashing in those points is by using hypermode. If you're using an Xbox controller, should be, what is it, B? You can, by the way, activate it at any time, but it's not very easy.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Which, like hypermode, incredibly, like recently I've I think it's 3 times as much. It increases the amount of points each destroyed enemy is worth. And of course, it slowly drains your level away. So the longer you have, the longer hypermode lasts. You activate it at level 4 and beyond. You get there's a special track that plays as well, and it's stuff, and it also heals you, and it caches in your points, and depending of course on your levels that you have when you activate it. So if you activate it at level 2, all your points in the combo get multiplied by 2. If you activate it at level 3 and then forth, it goes higher. Then there's a second score multiplier that depends on how many levels you manage to beat without taking damage. So the more, like, the higher the degree of perfection you have at the game, technically the more points you get. This is like the idea around it. So you kind of have to try and be as good as you can. And it's not as much like comparison to the endless mode of Mega Man 9, which was mostly about endurance. It was mostly about how far can you get. This game is more about trying to be as cleanly as possible while going. While at the same time being as aggressive as you can, because you like get more points by destroying enemies than
Yeah. Oh, you can't hear the guest? Can you say something again?
Hello?
Okay. Oh, okay. The game audio is a bit loud. That's the problem.
Maybe I can just boost my own voice?
I can boost you on my end. I mean, I hear you fine, so I'm not sure why. That is. Okay, say something now, please.
Hello?
Okay, that might be boosted a bit too much. Let me lower you a bit here. Test, test, test.
Good morning.
Yep, it should be.
Time.
It should be fine now. Yeah.
Good. Streaming setup.
Yep. Oh, the game audio is okay. Yeah, I lowered it a bit, so it should be fine now. Totally. Yeah, it's a bit hard for me to judge because I'm hearing one thing, but I guess on the stream it's coming out slightly differently. Okay, so let's try moving a bit for a moment and then see how it all comes together. Oops, accidentally activated hacker mode.
And yeah, also in hyper mode you have unlimited shots and you can fire all the time. You can get up there if you go to the one bit further to the left and then you use the slide.
Oh.
Slide is activated by pressing down and jump exactly, and then
just drop here.
I was worried there for a moment until I remembered that I put some walls up there so that people can just walk to the right. And yeah, those are this is one of the 3 secret areas you need to beat in order to unlock the escape sequence. So of course, if you're playing someone who's trapped, there has to be some way to escape. And this is like kind of my way of suggesting that you're breaking whatever it is that holds you where you are, and you have to find these 3 secret stages and like beat what's essentially the same boss 3 times, but in slightly different arenas. Because when I made these areas, I was completely fed up with making boss fights, and I just couldn't take it anymore. Yeah, it's a new high score. Congratulations. Yeah. By the way, the complete scoring system or high score system, it's completely offline. There's no online high score because it's a combination of me like wanting to be done with the game. It was like fairly late and just wasn't very much like there was a point where I just wasn't very much interested in keeping working on the game at one point, and at the same time it's also because I kind of wanted the scoring system to be more about self-improvement and not as much about competition with other players, if that makes sense.
Is this an actual pet? Sorry to interrupt.
You can... what was your question?
Is this an actual pet or is this a secret thing?
Yeah, you can drop down.
Ah, okay. I wasn't sure. Okay, carry on, sorry.
It's no problem. Like, sooner or later people would drop down there anyway, so like they would find that out the other way this way. So I wanted the score system to be more about self-improvement and not as much about this jump is hard. Not as much about like trying to compete with others. So what the game does instead is it picks your current high score and defines is a goal that is around 10%, 5 to 10% above your current high score. And then it judges your performance based on that. If you're able to beat that goal in a run, your performance is adequate. And if you're not able to beat it, your performance is insufficient. Which is very interesting because the better you get at the game, the more likely it is that your performance isn't good enough, because your score gets so high that it's very hard to beat. So my best right now on my save file is something around 44 million points.
Oh wow.
It's almost impossible for me to get. I actually had, like, one player has a high score around 63 million.
Wow.
So it's possible to get very, very, very high points when you know what you're doing. But the problem there is then that I'm always that the game will always tell me that I'm not good enough. The better I am at the game, the more the game will tell me that I'm not good enough. It's kind of like my idea again, with the idea that you're being trapped in there and that the game kind of like wants you to perform in a certain way, but at the same time you can never really satisfied by just like playing by the rules. This is the whole idea behind it. And the same goes with the rank that's displayed. The rank is completely random. It's sort of based on your high score, and then randomly gives you a certain like rank that you then have. And you can never reach the first place. The best you can get is second. And it's again, it kind of like fits into this. Oh god. I think, yeah, now you're, I think, going to permit. Oh, there's sometimes, yeah?
Yeah, I like the little cannibal reference with the roll when you jump off the building.
It's like the whole city area is like cannibal. It's everything. It's cannibal was a huge, like back when I played it, I think in 2010, I was so, I don't know, I was so like excited about the animations in that game. And it's like something that really stuck with me, and when I was like sort of finally able to do something myself, I thought might as well put a little reference in there.
Was this done in Game Maker, or did you use Game Maker? Okay.
Yeah, it's Game Maker. Also using a very ancient platformer engine for Game Maker, like I think which was last updated in 2008. It was something that was still lying around on my hard drive, and when I decided, well, let's try making a game again in 2015. I managed to get it to work, and because it was working, and because I didn't really want to make something on my own that does it equally good, because I was also not like good enough to actually do it, like programming wise. I just decided to keep using it.
Yeah, it feels like it's important to like manage to finish projects, because it's always like you said, like it's good as like learning experience, and then like when you're done with a project to just move on to the next thing, because it's easy to get, you know, stuck.
I mean, there are so many stories of people like spending years or almost decades on one game and not really being able to finish it or to release it, and then getting confused about what they want, like if they actually want to like complete everything. And I'm sort of the kind of person that's prone to doing that if they're not careful. So really, I was in 2015 when I started working on this game. I said to myself, like, ideally I wanted to be done with it in like late 2015 or late 2016. So it took me about almost a year longer than I actually wanted it to be. But at the same time, it's probably still much quicker than if I like decided on a much bigger scope or anything. Like, I had a bunch of stuff planned out that I just threw away because I realized I would not be able to finish it in any shape or form. And there's also the thing with not being very sure if like adding more stuff would actually make the game in any way better than what it was. Kind of detract of like what the core of the thing is, which is to run around and shoot stuff. And so a lot of the more like abstract things I toned down by quite a bit, and kind of try to concentrate more on like getting stuff done. There's nothing up there.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not paranoid about
everything for you, but there's
no, it's fine.
This is one of the things where there's nothing.
I will always assume there's something, because I never trust video games.
Yeah, it's actually a good attitude for this thing here, because
oh shit,
like,
I didn't jump that far.
Like, speaking of stuff I'm not very like happy or proud about, like all of the boss fights is probably one of the things. Like, I don't like any of them, but maybe it's just me generally not like being happy with my work. But this is like, I don't know. I had like real trouble coming up with stuff that seemed interesting, but not also like a giant waste of time. And so I tried to keep it as simple as possible to make sure that like if the boss fights are boring, at least they're like over fairly quickly. Some way trying to mitigate any kind of damage, because it's not like very interesting to fight a boss for a very long time when the fight itself isn't engaging in any way. Especially considering when you have to do them over and over again. So if it takes a lot of time, you have to. As one boss, which is kind of a little bit like that, because it takes a bit longer to do, and it's it's out.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand, like, you always want to make like boss fights interesting, but also, as you say, because you're playing them all the time, you don't want them to be a chore to play through.
Yeah, I was just trying to think about them more in a way of like mixing up the general flow of everything else, because usually you're just running around and jumping stuff, and then you have a single screen encounter with something else that's a little bit different in some way, and trying to treat it like that. But that's definitely something I wish I would have been able to do a better job with. But it's again also something with not having any idea what I'm doing or what I was doing. So I had to figure out almost everything on my own, and then you like go by your best guess and hope that it works, and hope that it doesn't annoy like most people, and that it's okay. And I think it's all right. It turned out all right in that way.
Yeah, definitely. I actually like. I really I do like the cheat menu option, not because like the game is hard, but it also has options like auto fire, infinite ammo, and stuff like that.
Oh.
So you can like actually figure out things. How do I jump on that?
It's interesting, you never ran into these platforms, I think, in the normal levels. So they switch depending on your jump. So every time you jump, one gets switched off, the other gets switched on.
Oh, it's more like how do I jump this high? Okay.
Yeah, that's the trick, because this is one of the things where I'm kind of exploiting something. You can jump while you're inside one of those platforms when they're active.
Ah, okay.
So it's...
Ah, I see.
And for some reason this thing didn't activate. Okay, let's... Yeah, and here you get the double jump. So this is like you kind of have to do a double jump to... and this is a hint where one of the secrets is. Like the one that you, like, so far failed to get. Not anymore.
Just look like a boss.
I like to refer to this boss as a typewriter boss, because it always goes from like one direction to the other, and then like goes back to the starting position. Again, trying to keep the stuff simple and just having the player move around is then at some point okay, let's do this way. When I realized that all the fancy ideas that I had didn't really work.
So how what was I gonna ask, like, how far does the leveling up go? Since as far as I've gotten so far is level 3.
Level 4, but there's a hidden upgrade for level 5.
Ah, okay.
And with level 4 you get a triple shot, and level 5 gives you a shield. And partially, it's like 4 like orbs that rotate around you, and those things block projectiles when they collide with them, and deal damage to enemies as well. So you can like run through weaker enemies without like with probably not getting hit. It's not very like it's not 100% precise, because like those, like the double jump and the level 5 upgrades were things that I like did after the release. Like the game released in June. Then I did a bunch of like balancing upgrades afterwards, like the way the game treats your experience and how much you lose after you get hit. I think when it released in June you still lost everything, and now you lose about 25% or 50% when you're above level 3. And the double jump and the level 5 upgrade, as I said, were after the release, after I realized at one part that I was very elegant, very elegant. After I realized that I kind of want to do like a little content upgrade for it, not too much, because as I said, I kind of want to move on, and I kind of wanted to move on. I was thinking, okay, let's do a small thing, and because also the game wasn't selling very well, and still isn't, and probably never will. And I was kind of thinking, let's try it, at least squeeze it a little bit, maybe with an update and get something more out of it. And yeah, so I did added 2 new power-ups and 6 new levels. Like those kind of like colorful circus-themed levels are completely new.
Yeah, they're very Amiga in the way they look as well. Like reminds me a lot of the James Bond games.
Yeah, it's like the reason why they're this colorful and why they're... Am I glad that there's water?
Yeah, I was like, oh wait, he said there was nothing there.
Yeah, I released the update this Monday and the last weekend, and I spent most of it playing through every level with a double jump and seeing where am I able to jump out of the level and putting walls up there. because it's like I hope that there isn't a lot of it left.
I do like how just over the top all the explosions are.
Yeah, it's one of the things, like, obviously I like Flambeer games and I stole like all of the ideas from them, and it's something I started also taking kind of pride in and trying to do it, like trying to improve them over and over again. Like I have no idea how much time I spent with the explosion. Like I think I worked on them last week. Like for the last time, like adding or changing them a little bit, making them a bit more coherent and less interrupting in some ways. Yeah, it's because I was saying to myself, like, if everything falls apart in what you're going to build, if the levels are like crap and the game isn't very interesting and whatever, like other weird ideas you have don't work, at least make sure that pressing a button is fun.
Yeah.
Because then people can at least get something out of it. And this is why I like try to do my best with that, and just hope that I did a decent enough job with the other stuff as well.
Yeah, to be honest, like I was wondering why there wasn't an auto fire by default, but then I realized like, oh well, it kind of feels like more hectic when you're just like mashing a button per shot.
Yeah, it's also like kind of to prevent you from like firing all the time, also kind of. Yeah, and this is there are two secrets like that, and those permanently increase your health.
Are these permanent upgrades like between runs, or is it for one run?
No, they are permanent. Like
okay.
Keep having them after you're done, unless you delete your save file. Then obviously you don't have them. Yeah, it's as a way to encourage people also to look for ways where there might be something. Again, because there are secrets that are kind of required for you to finish the game, so there kind of has to be a kind of have to like make sure that people are rewarded for doing stuff.
I hate these spike things in every Mega Man game.
Yeah, it's this is also some stuff that in terms of stuff that I learned, what I like and don't like in general about video games, kind of after I like made one that's fairly big compared to the stuff I made before. Like doing instant death stuff, or stuff that's that requires you to like fail several times to like understand how it works or something. This is something I probably wouldn't do again. Like the whole game itself and what it does is something I'm not going to do again in any way. I'm not doing another game like this because it's too punishing in some ways. It's another reason why I put ways to at least mitigate some of the stuff in there, because life's too short to play frustrating video games or to be frustrated by a video game.
I mean, now that you have streaming, you can just watch other people get frustrated. Also, hey, spread shots.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Usually I go until my combo's at 10,000 and then I try doing hyper mode, but it's not a very nice level to do hyper mode. Like, there are certain levels where it feels really good to just run through and...
This is tricky. Mostly because double jump also toggles it.
Yeah, I wanted it to toggle because otherwise
too easy.
Yeah, also it would feel weird. Also, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Because you'd expect a reaction from a button press, and then it's not happening.
I mean, yeah. I'm also thinking about maybe it's the when I say I'm terrible at like scripting or programming, I'm not lying in any way, because I think everyone says that they're terrible, but I'm like, oh god. And I think the platforms actually, like, there's probably like, it's almost impossible for me to like not have them toggle when you do the double jump in the way they work, which is and now I'm thinking about what I did in this game, and I'm not traumatic. Yeah,
so did you have to like learn like both, you know, game maker scripting and spriting and basically all the necessary skills for this on this game, or did you do stuff before it?
I learned a little bit of JavaScript in 2013, I think it was. I actually did a very small, completely incomprehensible thing in Unity back then, and but that pretty much was it in terms of like programming knowledge in a way. And as I said, I did a bit of like smaller stuff in GameMaker before, so I knew how it worked and knew how to make stuff move around and everything else, but there was like, it's still like a lot of stuff I had no idea how to do it. And then the graphics wise, absolutely no clue like how to do anything. And so it's a lot of it is really I did a post that you can read it on the game itch.io page, the dev post, when I released the game. The shame, really, but you're getting there. You're getting there.
Oh, I kind of ate a lot of crap from that turret at the ladder.
Yeah. So I did a post on itch.io, kind of illustrating the whole process I went through, and it's not like, obviously every game when you start out doesn't really look like the thing that it's going to be at the end, but like the progress the game made was essentially the progress I made in knowing how to do like anything. So when the game at the start looked very, very basic, it looked very basic because I had no idea how to do anything else. And pretty much the way the game looks now is sort of reflecting on like what I currently know about like doing pixel art and doing animation and anything like that. I try to like force myself to get better at it. And especially to be faster at it and not like having to like spend several days or like several days to create like whole animation set and stuff like that, especially when they are like not very detailed. But yeah, it's.
So what kind of games do you have you played that like inspired this? Because you said you played a lot of Amiga stuff as a kid, so, and then this is like kind of based on Mega Man endurance mode. So like, what kind of stuff do you enjoy playing?
Oh god, it's a bit hard for me because I've played not a lot of video games lately because I'm poor and everything else. I do like arcade games in some ways because I like things that are like fairly simple and that explode a lot. But I also like a lot of abstract games, like a lot of games that try to do something or try to like convey meaning through like the spaces they built, and not as much about like not as much with words and everything. So it's a weird mixture for me, and I think that's like one of the reasons why I like something that we might see. The game also generates poems in the background because for reasons, and yeah, it's a kind of weird mixture for me. And obviously, aesthetically, Amiga games also kind of it wasn't really. I didn't set out to say, oh, I wanted to make a game that kind of like maybe invokes like early 90s home computer games. This wasn't really my idea. It kind of came by accident, but or like sort of by accident after I found the composer for the game, and she started making tracks that used this certain format, and I was thinking, well, if she's doing that, I have to find ways to support that kind of work she's doing, because I liked what she was doing and didn't want her to change it. So I was thinking about, okay, what can I do to support it and to make sure that everything fits in some way. And I still think that, like, I'm pretty sure that I could have done a much better job with it, but considering like my amount of ability and my non-existent budget, I did as best as I could. And yeah, it's a weird jumble of stuff. As I said, like, it's obviously inspired by Mega Man, and like the level design and everything is inspired by Mega Man, but also I'm not that big of a fan of Mega Man games. I like some of them, but I'm not like the hugest or biggest Mega Man fan you can find. And I'm more interested, or I was more interested in the way, like, of the progress, kind of experience progress you make when playing a Mega Man game, that it's very hard at the beginning, but the more you play it, the more relaxing the game gets, because they're so reliable and everything kind of like, you know where everything is, and you don't have to stress out about stuff as much, and it gets much more relaxing. Here's a short tip: if you activate Hyper Mode now, you get a little bit of health back. So Hyper Mode also heals you when you're above level 1. So like level 2, you get, I don't know, around 3 to 4 health or something, with just one hit. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah. There's like a lot of stuff isn't, and it's kind of deliberate and not very much explained. It's also not very deliberately not explained, because I didn't want to make a tutorial. Because tutorial didn't, like, mice didn't fit in some way, or I couldn't find a way to like have a tutorial that fit, so I didn't do one. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff, but I think Hypermode, like, the manual tells you, like, the short thing you can access in the main menu should tell you that it also heals you, but a lot of people don't never use Hypermode. It's something that's probably thing that bugs me the most, that a lot of people never really use Hypermode. Most people are just are too much afraid to lose their levels, which is like kind of like understandable, but at the same time the game is kind of built around you using it, and it's really beneficial for you to be using it. It's something that isn't much you can do about, at least now.
Yeah, I think it mostly comes with, I think, like, the more you replay, the more you know, like, when you get the most bang out of Hyper Mode. Because, like, you'll know, like, the low layout and stuff like that.
And it's also, again, about knowing that it exists. And a lot of people...
Almost died to those spikes. Nope. Almost gone through with him there.
There was also something that I completely forgot that it existed. Go ahead.
Let's try this a bit.
Yeah. It's completely okay. Like, the reason this menu exists is like for people to play around with it. And to find their approach that works the best for them.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, like, usually games, when they make you use, like, cheat modes and stuff like that, they kind of try and, how can I say, like, discourage you by like mocking you or other things like that. So when it's like this at the start of the game menu, I'm more like, yeah, I'm just gonna use this. I don't feel bad about using it.
Yeah, because it's again, life's too short to be frustrated by video games. You can, if something is like costing you too much time or frustrating you too much, just change it. Like, this, like, I mean the menu also has an option for you to turn off all the enemies so that you can run through the empty levels.
Yeah,
like,
that's very
it's
nice.
in there. It's like it completely destroys the purpose of the game, but it's in there. So if you want to do that, you can do it. It's actually there's an achievement for it on Steam. If you finish the game in tourism mode, you get an achievement.
Oh, that's nice.
It's also the easiest way to get the achievement to finish the game without getting hit. I actually didn't even manage to get that, like, on my own. Like, I always get hit once in, I think, the last level before the final boss. It's like as far as I can go, but you can do it. It's perfectly okay, and I'm not going to. And the game doesn't like take away anything from the rest, so you can still play it as much as you want. There isn't anything that you those things up.
I really no. Yeah.
No, and again.
I really like though. I like the idea of like you can just customize the gameplay how you want and not particularly care. You know, like you said, there's no like online leaderboards that you have to worry about. It's just your personal best record.
Yeah, and like it's not really completely my idea. Like one game that really influenced my decision to do that was even the Ocean. I don't know if you know of that.
Yeah, I know that game.
Yeah, that like Even the Ocean gives you an option to completely remove the action stages and just play the story bits, or completely remove the story bits and just play the action stages. Like, and as like additional to like stuff like invulnerability and other stuff. So it was like, it's so impressive to see like developers being so confident in their game that they say, yeah, sure, we give players the option to like turn stuff off. Like our game is still able to handle it in some way, and I think it's also like an expression of confidence from the developers themselves that they aren't as afraid of people playing the game the wrong way in some way, because people will do what they want. Like one other thing with like me is that I don't like my friends. None of my friends plays video games anymore. They maybe played it when they were like younger, but none of them plays them anymore. So sometimes I had them over to play this game because it's nice to see people interact with the stuff that you're making, and it was really interesting to see people interacting with this game that like haven't used a controller in their life and just trying to figure out how it works. And they like, obviously, when they don't know how this game is supposed to work, and they're not very aware of like any common tropes in video games or in these types of video games, obviously they do stuff that you don't intend them to do. And then you're at a point where I say either you're like punishing those people for like doing stuff you haven't thought of, or you just let them do it and let them roll with it, and maybe even encourage it. Like this one secret in this ice level where previously to the double jump upgrade you had to use a bug to get there, was actually me like hearing from someone that they found this bug. Like when you jump at a certain point, when you're almost at the top of the ladder, basically your jump height gets tripled or something. I was thinking about like in one part I had no idea how to fix it because the collision code wasn't mine. As I said, it's using a platforming engine, and I understand the collision code now, but I didn't back then. So I said, well, I can't really fix it. I have no idea what's happening there. So I might as well try and implement it into something funny so that people find that they maybe can get somewhere in the level where they are not supposed to go. And it's the same thing. Like either you're like you kind of encourage people to break the thing that you're making, or you prevent them. And at some point, trying to prevent them from breaking it is probably not very healthy, because you have to be very strict about it. That's, I don't know. It's something that I've like probably thought way too much about. Necessary, but
No, trust me. I think everybody who makes games has to like make the decision. Okay, is this okay to do or not? Like, you will always have weird interactions with different systems and just the engine you're using and stuff like that. And you have to ask, like, am I okay with the player doing this? You know, what are the consequences of the player doing this?
yeah.
And the answer is never clear from my experience. It really depends on the actual game you were making.
Yeah, for sure. Like, like if this were a multiplayer game, I probably wouldn't put the cheat-in menu in there, because then whatever people decide to do with their game also influences what like the experience of other people who might have chosen something different.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to understand, of course, kind of have to understand what the thing it is that you're making, and like how your decisions will have consequences in some way, like what players will do. But at the same time, I find it quite interesting that even though I'm completely open about like use cheats. If the game's too hard, use cheats. Make the game easier. Turn off all the enemies if you want. I don't care. There were still people that like were completely averse to it. Like they're saying no, I want to play the game the way it's meant to be played. Yeah, but I put the cheats in there for you to decide how you want. Like it's like the cheats are meant for you, are meant to be used. So it's a weird thing that sometimes players are so like entrenched that there's one right way to play something that they like, even when they're given the options. Now you've figured it out. Great to see.
Yeah, only if my thumb can handle it.
Yeah, it's
There we go. That was very tense.
Yeah. Oh, was this the first time that you managed to beat one of those?
I'm not sure. I think maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, when you like beat one of those bosses, by the way, jump up there. Like I'm going. Oh, too late. You can't go up. I don't think. No, you can't go up there anymore.
No.
Thing.
Oh
Yeah,
well.
the block. Anyway, there would be a way to secret. You might still be able to get there with the double jump, but it's very hard and you might die. So, like, just say the word if you like want to try it.
I'm guessing it's up here.
Yeah. So, the idea is that you take a balloon that's in the upper part and ride it down into the pit that you're here. You can also fall down and try to reach like the next platform with the double jump.
Let's try that.
It's up to you. Like, yeah, exactly.
There we go.
And here's like the
hidden fifth upgrade.
Like the level 5 thing. Now you have 5 very big red orbs. What's this is like a weird trivia thing, or maybe like fun fact stuff. I actually wanted this whole thing is called the super level because you're going beyond your usual level maximum, and it is kind of a way for me to do a tribute to a German games website that closed down very recently, which was called Super Level. And they closed down I think in July, and it was pretty much the only like German games blog or website that was worth reading, in my opinion. And like kind of a way of me to like give them a nod. I actually wanted like their logo, which is small with crystal, to be the shield. But I'm already using that as a sprite for the projectiles of the ice boss. It's now it's vulnerable.
Oh wow, that fairly quickly when it became vulnerable.
Yeah, this is the boss that can get very boring because it takes a long time sometimes for it to get vulnerable. So it doesn't have a lot of HP.
Ah, okay.
So because otherwise it would take way too long. It's the longest boss fight like in general, and this way it's at least not as boring. So when you start defeating these bosses, you will get more and more enemies in some stages. Not in every stage, because I wanted to make sure that they don't completely break the flow of the stages, but some stages will get more enemies. Kind of as a way to show that the game doesn't want you to keep going. Kind of like ups the degree of challenge that you're going to face. And now you've beaten 2 of the 3 required stages that you need to get to the ending. I'm fairly curious to see if you actually manage to get the 3rd one. No, you won't. Oh, okay. Too fast.
Invulnerability frames.
Yeah, this is also one of the things that you're one of those things that you don't realize when you're just playing the game yourself and don't let other people play it, is way earlier in development the invulnerability frames were way too short. I didn't realize how tedious the game was to play until I watched people do it. Oh god, I have to change so much. This was one of those things.
Well, I'm glad you changed it, because otherwise I'd be dead now.
Yeah, no, it's the game, honestly, the game was pretty much unplayable before that. Aside from I was able to play it because I made the game, but that's one of the big problems. You completely lose the ability to understand or gauge the how difficult the game is that you're making. When the only person that's there to test it is yourself.
Yeah.
So having other people play it and watch other people playing, and this I only showed this game at one place in Vienna at a festival there. The only festival that actually allowed me to show the game without paying them. And it was so valuable to spend a day or several days just watching people interact with the game and seeing what they did wrong, where they get frustrated and everything, and just a lot of stuff where you can then make lots of adjustments that make the whole thing better. So let's see if you're able to survive. I'm really curious. Because then you're going to see something that barely anyone ever saw. Which is a bit of a shame, honestly. Okay. Now, this is so when you beat all those 3 stages, you kind of get teleported back into your cell. So this is the place where the character is when you're not playing the game, basically. And what this is, as I said, the game generates poems. So each level you beat has a line associated to it, and since it's randomized, you kind of get these random things you can see here.
Nice.
And this is for me kind of a way to suggest this is something that the player character is doing to kind of track for themselves where they are and what they are doing in some way, and this is a thing you're seeing. And it's a bit of a shame that you're playing this game not as long, because the amount of writing you're going to see here, you can get out of it, I think, by pressing start, isn't that much. For me, the writing goes I think almost until or to the ladder on the right side.
Oh.
because the text file is so large. So it keeps adding these things, and like this text file also doesn't get deleted when you delete your save file. So you have to manually delete it because it's not that huge, and I thought I might as well do it. And this is the thing, because you're not really dying in there. Before you die, you like essentially get teleported out and regenerate, and this is the regenerator.
I see.
So this is like kind of this thing, but you have a weapon and there's a door. What can you do with this?
Oh, okay, so this is like our cell that we just came out of. And
Yeah, exactly. And those phases up there are pretty much all of the bosses. So in each boss, or with the exception of 2, which are those that are like cracked, each boss has a human being inside of it.
Oh.
Way. And this is meant to be like those were prior like inmates or even friends of yours or something like that like kind of got used up and then put inside of giant robots to control them in some way.
Oh, I see.
This is like all the background stuff, and then it's like 3 fairly long, very hard stages that you have to get through.
Well, we'll see how hard you get.
It's kind of my way, like kind of like my attempt at doing like Wily stages, like that mix up everything you've seen before in some way. I think this is the second time I'm actually seeing someone else play that. I think the other person was my brother.
Yeah, I told you, man, like on these streams weird things happen.
So it's really nice to see actually someone getting there, to be really honest, because it's I mean, it's kind of the problem when you do secrets and have like sort of fancy ideas with it, is that not a lot of people will see them. So seeing people do like interact with it and seeing people find this stuff is like probably what I find the most rewarding in some way, because then you say, oh, okay, it wasn't like completely wasted time. It's also like one of the problems with the way the game is designed in general is that what I think is the most interesting part is like only really makes sense if you play this game a lot, and it goes completely by you when you don't do this. So, or when like I'm there to explain stuff.
Yeah, I'm actually finding the idea really interesting. I mean, until you kill the 3 hidden bosses, the game is infinite, right? Like yeah. So I kind of like this idea of the game is an infinite like score attack game until you decide to actually end it.
Yeah.
Or until you figure out you can end it.
Yeah, and also again goes with the whole idea that the game also, the better you are at it, the better you are at the scoring thing, the more the game will tell you that you're not good enough. Because as I said, your goal gets higher and higher and higher and gets to a point. Okay, do not, like when you're on those things, do not jump.
Oh, okay.
Like do not jump and shoot and stay on those things. Like the idea is to wait.
Oh, fuck. I completely confused myself there. No, it's fine.
I was like really surprised how far you've gotten.
Yeah.
Because I thought you fall over there. Yeah, so the idea there is you stand under those blue things until the ceiling guns shoot, and then you move on to the next step.
I realized that, but I think I just panicked at the moment.
Yeah. One good thing about the secret stuff is that the game tracks how many secret stages you've beat, and the more secret stages you beat, the more likely it is that you get the remaining secret stage within a sequence, like a level sequence. So there should be a 40% chance or something that you find a secret, secret carrying stage in this run, and afterwards, it increases. It doesn't get to 100%, but I think there's when you beat 2 secret stages in a row, you have an 80% chance or something that there's definitely one coming, so that you don't have when you're saying, "Oh, I want to complete the game now," that there isn't that you don't have to play the game until the game until it gives you like by virtue of like RNG, it gives you like the stuff that you need to complete it. So this way you kind of like can force the issue in some way. It's also a way for me to like kind of encourage speedrunners to do it. Still have to do my speedrun on my own. Still need to record it because so far no one has done one. But I think it's an interesting thing to do for speedrunning because there's some ways to speed it up and everything.
Yeah, there's definitely ways to optimize runs in this.
I mean, the whole sliding mechanic is you can, if you time it correctly, you can like skip a lot of the stage by just timing your jumps correctly because you can keep your momentum going for quite some time if you know how, and with the double jump as well, you can even extend it further. But yeah. So to get back to scoring stuff, so the game always tells you you're not good enough. So kind of like make you realize what's my idea behind it, which obviously isn't completely like working because I'm not explicitly telling the player this. To like kind of make people realize that no matter how like if they're always playing by like the rules that are given to them, they will never be able to escape. They they will be stuck there forever. And the only way to actually go like to escape or to find a way out is to ignore what the game is telling you what to do, which is like get a high score and survive as long as possible, and instead try to find good game sound.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to lower this even more. Yeah, it's weird that it's like I'm keeping it as low as I can, but it's still somehow running out.
Again, I can also like boost my microphone a little bit if that helps.
Well, no, I can see your audio levels and they're as high as mine, so I'm gonna heighten it a bit more. So let's continue. Audio will forever be a problem in streams. I hate that.
It's weird because usually I'm the one people say I talk too loud, so.
Yeah, I whenever like I can set up the stream as much as I can, but it'll always be like, well, audio is a problem.
Yeah, it's recently I sometimes do live streams where I do stuff with like game making and stuff like that, and I didn't realize it and no one told me because I don't think anybody was watching long enough. My my output level for the microphone was like for some reason set at the maximum, so it was completely peaking all the time, and it was really bad, and no one told me. And it's like only after I started watching the archive and I was saying like, what the hell was wrong here?
Yeah, usually I'm like, oh, okay, this is like all fairly balanced, but then I'll have it like nobody will complain, everybody will be fine with it, and then I'll check the recording and be like, oh wait, this isn't actually that good, these people are too quiet, and I'm just like annoyed at myself.
Yeah.
Because every time you have guests, you have to have different audio settings, and then every game has different audio balancing, and it's just like always a part of setup.
Yeah. I never really like I did before I made games. I did a bit of like YouTube covering stuff, like Let's Play and like impression videos on video games in German. Which, by the way, I'm still getting press emails for. Just like very strange for me. I haven't covered a game in almost 2 years, but I still get treated as press by some developers. And it's...
Oh, motherfucker.
Aww. Those things are evil.
They are very evil.
It's one of those enemies where I said to myself, well, if I make a game that is inspired by Mega Man, I have to have those in there. I hate them, but like it's part of the rules. I don't make them. I have to do it.
It's part of the throw your controller at the wall experience.
Yeah. because like dying to them is so depressing because you just jump into them and land in a pit. It's so like it's just sad to see it, but yeah. But it still happens to me sometimes. It's like the trick usually is to go past those pits before they can spawn, because there's a slight delay. Because once they start flying up and down, it's awful. Yeah. I have to have them on really the issues. I was reading chat for a second. But yeah, it's... What was I saying? Audio stuff. Yeah, I never really did like a lot of stuff with other people, so I'd never really had that problem, at least. But can see why it's a problem. Like,
Yeah, I think like one of my things was, hey, if I ever actually get big enough, I'm just gonna hire someone to do all the audio for me. Like you know what? If these streams ever get super popular, I'm just gonna pay someone to deal with the audio because I can't be bothered anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is like the best thing to do with everything. Like,
yeah.
I would really like to have like at some point enough money to pay someone to do the sound design for my games, because then I don't have to like speaking about audio, because like doing actual mixing and trying to make sure that everything is sort of the same level and doesn't drown itself out and everything else is. I have no idea how to do this, and this is like the audio in this game is so all over the place because of it, and yeah, it's this is like something. Yeah, this would be nice, and also maybe pay someone to do like art so that I don't have to do it.
I mean, general rule of thumb is if in a game company it would be a separate position, then obviously. It's not enough for one person to do it in addition to other stuff. So like.
Yeah, I mean, then it's like pretty much when you're like a sort of solo developer, like it's everything, right? Like.
Yeah.
Ideally, I could make myself like completely obsolete by hiring programmers and artists and sound designers and musicians, and then I don't have to do anything. Maybe pay someone to have the ideas as well.
I mean, honestly, even when you know to do something, you don't necessarily have to do it. Like, it's not necessarily you should do it. Like, for example, because we mentioned Vlambeer before. Like, you know, Rami from Vlambeer, he does the business side of things right now, but you know, he knows the game design and he knows how to make games. So it's not like necessarily that he doesn't know. It's just like it's much better when one dedicated person does one dedicated thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there was a thought I like, but I forgot it. Damn it. At the same time, I also kind of enjoy the variety, like in some parts, like the stuff that I like doing. Like I actually like doing animations, and to some extent doing the art. But mostly the animations, because I like seeing stuff move around, and I like testing how stuff feels then. Like adding a few frames to running animation, and then actually feeling the difference, although all you do is actually just press a button. And it's like it is something that I really enjoy doing, and like to some extent I also like programming, not as much like the trying to be as efficient as possible, but more the trying to figure out what went wrong, where a problem is. It's incredibly frustrating, but at the same time it's very interesting, because you have to figure out stuff and have to think, okay, like how does this thing interact with that thing, and where, like, what does this line of code do actually, and what have I done there, and like be mad at yourself from the past because you don't comment anything, because, well, I made it, I can remember everything, of course. Oh god, this is like the
I'm killing him as a matter of principle now.
Yeah, I can understand that, but also like once those things gets more than one shot off, it completely breaks because the game isn't very good at handling enemies that switch between screens, like vertical screens. So it's always like, oh my god, please don't do anything stupid, like enemy stuff. Behave yourself so that the game doesn't look completely incompetent at that point.
Trust me, I have played AAA games that I've made look incompetent.
Yeah,
don't blame yourself. It's just I'm cursed.
It's everywhere. It's like just at this point. So oh god, because obviously when you made this thing, you know where like probably know where most of the holes are. Not all of them, but most of them. So. And then someone sees it or plays it, and then okay, this is a weird spot. I hope nothing goes wrong, and of course someone does something I haven't thought of, and everything falls apart. It's not something that I like. When I say, oh my god, I look incompetent, then it's not something where I actually feel bad about it. It's just something that happens then, and it's okay because. I probably am incompetent, which again is also like kind of shows how much you can get done at the same time, even though you don't understand everything perfectly. It's weird for me to say it, but it's something that I think it's kind of trying to embrace your own incompetence in some parts and be proud of still being able to do stuff. And realizing that you can't do everything perfectly, and it's okay to make mistakes at some point and be able to live with them. And
I mean, it's the human touch of video games. Like it's very hard to make like it's actually impossible to make like a bug-free game or a bad design-free game. Like there's always gonna be weirdness that you either didn't account for or did account for, but realized, hey, this is not worth fixing.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have I played Evil Within this week, and I made it do a lot of dumb stuff that I'm sure nobody expected. But there you go. You can't account for everyone.
Yeah. Come to think of it, yesterday I was playing Prey, and I made the game crash by, I think, exploding 2 explosive barrels at the same time or something, or several, and for some reason the game wasn't able to handle it. It's like, oh, interesting. Like, it's something you don't realize is maybe a problem, and I'm avoiding it since then. But yeah, it's part of the whole process. I mean, it goes back to the thing that like being trying to come to terms with people like playing your game in the way they see fit. Like you have to understand that people will do stuff you haven't really intended them to do, and just be fine with it. Try to make sure that it doesn't fall apart immediately, like when you press a button once or something that it falls apart, but make sure that it's tight in that way, but at the same time you can't control everything, and you have to be okay with that at some point, because at the same time it's you won't get done if you're too afraid of letting weirdness exist in your thing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, and that kind of reflects my experience in working on games. Like, you have to learn when to stop. It'll never be as perfect as you want, and you have to learn when to stop adding things, you have to learn when to let go, and you have to learn what to fix and what not to fix. It's just like, otherwise, nothing would ever get made. Like, it's already a miracle that, like, video games get made at all.
Yeah. It's something I think a few days or weeks ago I've tweeted it out. Like, I sometimes catch myself being completely surprised that I actually managed to release a commercial video game.
Yeah.
Like, looking at this complete thing, and I know I spent 1.5 years working on it, and spending. Oh,
I didn't know that was solid.
Yeah, that's I tried to make sure to make try to make sure that the jump doesn't interfere with it, but you use the double jump and then forward into it.
Yeah, well, I know for next time.
Speaking of stuff you didn't really intend, and that then gets, but this is something where this stage itself, or this screen itself, is conceptually just wrong in that way, that in order to fix it I would have to come up with a completely different challenge, because it's just what it is now. But yeah, as I said, you have to be sure that, and I think this goes with any kind of large project, being aware when it's when it's okay to let things be the way they are, or that the amount of energy you would have to spend to improve that type of work is completely unreasonable compared to the amount of improvement you would actually get. Before I made this thing, I spent over 2 years, almost 3 years, writing a graduate thesis, comparable to a master's thesis. I have a weird German degree that's sort of comparable to it, and I spent so much time because I mostly was afraid to make mistakes and to do something wrong, and because it was a scientific work and you wanted to be it as perfectly as it was, and it's a complete, it turned out a complete mess. Not in terms of how it was graded, because I frankly think it's graded way too hard, but it's I know for a fact what went wrong when I worked on it, what went wrong when I collected the data and everything, and it's and at the same time, at some point I had to realize I can't fix those things. I have to finish it. Otherwise I will never be done with with my time at university. So
this is new.
At some point it's time, okay, it is what it is. Try to live with it, try to make it as good as you can, and hopefully it is good. And that's that. And it's the same with this game. With this, with the game itself, I'm actually quite happy how it turned out. It does most of the stuff that I wanted it to do at the when I started making it, which is a lot compared when knowing how rarely I'm actually able to get stuff done that only exists in my head, and compare the vision you have and the thing you have, it's actually quite close to what I wanted it to be. It's not completely, but nothing is ever, and I'm really happy with it. At the same time, I know that there's a lot of stuff that I could have done better, and that I'm going to try to do better with the next thing, and hopefully be a bit more successful commercially. It's hard for me. I don't really want to talk as much about it, but the game isn't selling all that much, and it's it annoys me a great deal that it doesn't. I'm not expecting to get rich or anything, but I would have liked to sell more than 100 copies in total, over everything. But right now it's around 100, and it's a bit. Compared to the work that I put into it, it's not enough, and it's kind of annoying me. But at the same time, it's because I made some mistakes, because I didn't really thought about when you're making commercial video game, you also have to think about selling this game, and I haven't really thought about it until it was too late. So it's something that you have to keep in mind, that you have to be a bit more proactive about it, and have to think about what you have to doing that, and maybe have to seek help. That's the other thing, that when we were talking about maybe paying people, it's also about when you're working on your own, realizing, okay, I can do these things quite well, and I'm quite confident that the thing that I'm going to make is going to turn out well enough when I do them. But at the same time, you have to know, as someone in chat pointed out, you have to know your limits. You have to know where you're maybe not as good as you need to be for the thing that you're making to be a success, and there you have to find ways to get help. Simple as that.
I mean, I know the feeling because like I worked on like a book on my own, which didn't really do that well, but it was kind of like, well, I wrote this primarily because I wanted to, and I want to have a finished project and go through the motions of a finished project and stuff like that. But you know, ultimately it didn't do well, and it's kind of like, well, I didn't write it to earn money, but it would have been nice if I, you know, had actually earned some, like at least a break even for it, because there were, you know, editor expenses, cover expenses, all sorts of other things. But it's kind of like, I feel a lot of people think like it's shameful to be wanting to make stuff to like earn money, because a lot of these success stories that do happen, like, oh, we just made a good game and it happened to earn a lot of money, and that's generally like big companies, small game developers, they all go with like, oh, I just focused on making a good game and then, you know, it happened to be successful. But it's not really a healthy attitude. It's kind of like when you have, oh, this game that 100 people worked on is a game that was directed by this one individual, and then people celebrate one individual. Or, hey, here's one game that was made completely by one person, and that's a selling point, and then people think like, oh yeah, so I can basically make, you know, something completely on my own and hope for success, whereas it's like nobody talks about the times when that doesn't work out.
Yeah, and it's also like, especially like talking about like working on your own, it's it's really hard, like trying to stay motivated and trying also to keep track of everything, what you have to do. Like one of the reasons why I completely failed at selling the game or like marketing the game in any shape or form was because I was so busy just trying to get this thing done that I just didn't really have the resources to like mentally to think about, well, okay, and how are you going to sell it? What is your like main like marketing line? What is your punch line and whatever? Like what's your main message that you want to convey in your marketing materials or anything? Like didn't think about it, and when I started thinking about it, was too late. And then it's like a crapshoot. Like it could still work. Like you can still get lucky and get somehow on like people to cover the game and it getting attention and whatever else, and those people might even like it. And it might still work, but it's not like making video games anyway is very luck based. Even if you're doing everything right, there's no guarantee that it's actually working what you're going to do, but you can at least influence the likelihood of it working by like doing like the necessary preparation in some way. And this is something that I definitely made mistakes, but at the same time I had no idea what I was doing. Like and it's something that I tell mostly myself, because I do like do kick myself or beat myself up about it like quite a lot, because, and at the same time, like about earning money, there's no shame in wanting to earn money with your creative work, because you did the work, you spent time creating this thing, and you deserve to be compensated for it. It's the same way why you should pay people that contribute to your work. They are spending time and energy in it, and they deserve compensation, as do you. So and I kick myself about it because I like didn't do everything right. At the same time, like I had no idea what I was doing. There was like something, I had to make mistakes somewhere, and somewhere bigger and somewhere smaller, and this was definitely something that I probably should have done better. But at the same time, well, yeah,
it's annoying, and there's a lot of ways some discussions in game development are handled that I don't like. Like usually when people say, like I said, like for success, it's like, oh well, we just made a good game and it was, you know, massive success. And this is like not just like smaller people, like I said, like entire companies take that attitude. But then when people say like, oh, why didn't this game work out? Well, let me point out this one thing that contributed to the game or a project failing. And it's kind of like, well, it's never one thing, it's a combination of things. And a lot of it is luck, and people don't talk about it. Because the worst part about it doesn't make for interesting stories. Like, people want to read interesting stories. They want to read about, the underdog game developer, the big 10-year project. Like, those are the things people want to read about, and it's annoying because it gives people going into games a false perception of things. Like, among themselves, like, among those perceptions, it's kind of, well, like, earning money shouldn't be your goal, and it's like, no, like, it can't, like, it doesn't have to be your main goal, but it should be, like, an objective. It should be something you should be trying to do, because, you want to keep making games. You want to, like, not stress about basic things while you're making, like, games. But it's just, like, the culture that's brought up, and honestly, I personally think more people should talk about it, but it's damaging in my opinion.
Yeah, it's not that I went into this like thinking about, well, I just have to make a good game or anything, because of, like, I've actually made calculation like, okay, if I'm selling this game at this price, how much, and I had a sum in my head where, like, more or less, which, like, the sum was, how much would I need to, like, be completely self-sufficient financially for a year.
Yeah.
And this, like I said, as a goal, which is, like, probably way too optimistic for a first game, but I'm like, well, this is what you do when you don't have any idea. You, like, find something on your own. And then I was, okay, I'm selling the game at this price, how much do I have to sell? And I try to think about this stuff, but at the same time, again, it's like managing yourself in this thing and trying to understand what there is you need to do, and also, like, how the platforms work, where you are selling this, and, like, don't let me start on Steam, because one big problem I have is this game didn't really sell all that well when it came out, didn't get a lot of attention, and there's nothing I can do about it unless I keep working on it, which is like financially and in terms of time management not very smart, because the game isn't really doing all that well. Why should I invest more time and resources in trying to make it to maybe make it work better? And this is something that's like, where you just, like, shrugged with your shoulders and said, well, it is what it is now. I have to live with it. It's okay. And I kind of came to terms with it, like, when I was working on the update that I released, like, last week, and I was saying, yeah, it's okay. I'm still happy with it. I'm still incredibly happy that I made it, because, I mean, and a lot of people that play video games think about stuff like, well, what I do when I make a video game, and how would this be, and everything, and a lot of people don't end up doing it, which is, like, really a shame, because the process itself is it's really fun to do it, and seeing stuff that only existed in your head suddenly be real, and you made it, and you created these things, and this stuff moves around because you told them that it should move around in that way, and it's something that I really enjoy doing, and so there's no, like, in no way am I like angry or sad that I decided doing it. It's just, well, I would like to keep doing it, but in order for it to be viable, I kind of have to find a way for it to make money.
Yeah, it can be a pretty disheartening process. So I completely understand where you're coming from. Yeah, it's more like, obviously not saying like what expectations you went into it with. It's more like, in general, it would help if we had like more resources in how to do this kind of stuff. But it's more like, sure. People just not talking about it, not really sharing stuff, and you know how games are made and marketed changing from year to year. Like the things that worked like 2 years ago don't work anymore, and it's kind of hard to keep track of all of that, because keeping track of it is a full-time job of itself.
Yeah, sure. It's also like in terms of marketing, it's like finding. I don't think there's a good way to find like completely universal rules and ideas that work for every game, because you're dealing with creative works here that deeply, like, that depend a lot on the time that they get released, on the people that are making them. Like I made a platformer and it's this weird thing that has secrets in it that generates poems, and that's somehow also dealing with me being stuck in a very dehumanizing welfare system that also tells you all the time that you're not good enough for it, that you're not spending enough effort in trying to get out of it. Like, this is all in this game. Like, it's not intentional, but it's in there, like in the way the game treats you. And but let someone else make a game like with the same premise and they do something completely different because they're completely different people.
Yeah.
So finding a common marketing strategy is also like very hard because it depends on like what it is, what they want to do, like, and what the message of the game is and what the tone of the game is, and how to convey that. And for that you have to be like yourself, be completely sure what it is, and then it might work. And then again, it's like you may still be completely perfect in your approach and still not have it catch on because, well, it's just not the right time for it and whatever. So it might still not work.
By the way, I don't know if I mentioned, but I do like the idea of the poem generation. I do like when games do weird narrative stuff like that.
Yeah, it's the idea came from I don't know if you know her, Lana Polanski. She's a game critic. Like, she does a lot of like critiques about very small and alternative stuff, and she like there was like some kind of like digital games conference like about alternative games in 2015 in summer, and there was like a panel about poems and poetry in games, and yeah, she was talking about like trying to like kind of like intermingling these two things in a more like concrete way. And like, this is like my attempt at something, because when you're playing the game there is a certain rhythm to it. Like, it's four levels and there's a boss fight, so there's something to it that kind of lends itself to it. There was also like a time where the amount of words in each line depended on the length of the level. So if a level had 5 screens worth of length, then the poem line would be 5 words. So to have kind of like an association with this stuff, but I ditched that rule because it was just way too like. I was always coming up with lines where there was 1 word too much or 1 word less, and it was so annoying that I said, okay, just let this go because I want this to be in there, and at the same, and also finding a way to like sort of illustrate that that there in some way that time goes by even when you're not playing the game. And that you're only seeing part of what's actually happening in some way. This also, it's stuff that interests me, like doing something like this. And also, like, I kind of like also the idea to. Okay, I'm going to be quiet for a moment here.
Yeah, this one is a bit hard. Okay, 1. Oh god. Okay, there we go.
Yes. Ooh, really. What was that? Yeah. Having stuff where like, no, again, there's my thought. Trying to like mix weird abstract stuff with very common gameplay things, like having a platformer and stuff like that, and also poem generation and like other strange things. It's something that I kind of like doing because I don't know, maybe a little bit at least plays with expectations in some way. But yeah, it's something that I like hope that I'll be like a bit more. Oh god.
Oh
this
god.
is going to be interesting.
Oh my god, this this is kind of rude.
It's so tense, like. Of course, it's rude. it's like,
oh shit!
It's
one of these sections.
Yeah, stay on the sort of left.
Oh!
Alright, that's also okay. It goes both ways.
Yeah. I'm just having like
I like the
flashback.
left path more because you don't have those blocks there. But yeah, it's...
Just have to keep shooting. I also like how the glass behind is like more and more broken.
Yeah, that's you see it in the next level. Like it's sort of for me the idea that the facility you're in is breaking down over time, and the further or the closer you get to the final boss, the more everything is just broken and like weird. Okay, like having auto fire is very beneficial here. Just seeing it, like
Yeah. Well, I figured
Good.
since I already had infinite ammo, I might as well have auto fire enabled.
yeah. If I were you, I would like activate hyper mode.
Yeah.
Because you won't get any health and any more levels. Those things don't drop anything. Also, I think you're like, this is another thing. After like every 10 minutes, the damage enemies do increases.
Oh.
So
okay.
yeah,
I did
kind
not
of
know.
like as a way to, if you're like really good at the game.
That was an
yeah.
instant kill. Okay.
Yeah, because damage is really high. And
Yeah.
I think like the first hit that knocks you down to over 0 HP actually only knocks you down to 1, but I think you already spent that one.
Yeah.
So
Well-
there's like kind of as a safety, but not completely adequate. Yeah, at least this one.
Yeah, but I think this might be like a good moment to close this down. Was there anything else you wanted to cover about the game?
Cover about the game right now, as someone in chat pointed out, it is on sale right now until I think tomorrow. 25% off. Would be great if like 5 to 6 people maybe buy it, that I can get another payout from Steam. That would be nice. Otherwise, I'm just glad that I was able to show the game to people and talk maybe way too much about it, because my god, like I haven't gotten enough like chances to do it, so I'm very grateful that I was able to show it, and that like people were able to like see what it has, and maybe it's interesting. I hope it was interesting and anything, and thank you very much. And
Yeah, thank you very much for showing off the game and talking about it, and setting aside time to talk about it. It's always interesting to me to see what the story behind every game is. And I do like it flows like very well. I think like that's why I've been I stuck with it as much as I did, and I think I made progress because it has a nice like run and gun flow. And I think like regardless of sales numbers and anything, you should like definitely be proud of first off finishing a game at all, and second making a game that's fun to play.
Thank you very much. Like it's nice to hear.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you all for watching as well. You can check this out, the game out on Steam, as already mentioned. And if people want to check out other stuff you do, where can they follow you, like a website or Twitter or anything?
You can follow me on Twitter at @ernstmokka, ERNSTMOKKA, at Mokograd, which is like I just retweet stuff which is related to the stuff that I do. Follow the game account at Splinter_zone. Those are the 3 Twitter accounts. Someone has an account on Mastodon, which is sort of like an alternative Twitter thing. I'm at Mokka there. Otherwise, just mokograd.net, which is my website where I sometimes post weird like rants about what annoys me about video games. And yeah, don't follow me on Twitter actually, because I like complain a lot. Like only follow me if you like find that interesting.
Don't worry, they're used to me complaining about everything, so it's fine.
Yeah.
It's up. It'll be up their alley. But yeah, thank you all
Okay.
for watching, and thanks again for dropping by, Eric. So thanks. Bye bye.
Goodbye.